My name is Marissa Donovan, and I am 57 years old. For more than 2 decades I have been at the helm of MedCentral Technologies, one of the largest and most influential medical technology corporations in the United States. From the 32nd floor of our Manhattan headquarters, I begin each morning, watching the city awaken, a sea of glass and steel catching the light, traffic pulsing below, like the lifeblood of an organism too vast to comprehend. Every movement of my day is deliberate. My black tailored suits hang in neat rows in my wardrobe, identical in cut and style. I choose one without thought, slip it on, and fasten the jacket with mechanical precision. My hair is always pulled back, never grazing my shoulders, secured so firmly that it cannot rebel against the order I impose on it. I wear no jewelry, no earrings, no necklace, not even a ring to suggest sentimentality. My nails are bare, coated only with a thin, transparent gloss. To the outside world, I am flawless, polished, untouchable. Inside the company, I am called many things, never to my face, of course. The Iron Woman, the Black Queen. I never raise my voice. I don't need to. A single word, a carefully timed silence, can still a room full of executives more effectively than any shout. I have mastered the art of stillness, of measured restraint, so thoroughly that my very presence bends the air around me. And so, I am both feared and admired. They respect my clarity, my judgment, the way I dismantle obstacles with the efficiency of a surgeon's scalpel. But admiration is not affection. Respect is not love. No one knows my private life, because there isn't one. There are no photographs of family in my office. No stories of vacations, no partner waiting for me at home. I have never married, never had children. I grant interviews only when absolutely necessary, and when I do, I speak as though every word is a blade that must be sharpened before use. I read every contract myself, I negotiate my own deals. I trust no one else to make decisions on my behalf. On weekends, I disappear. No assistant knows where. I answer no calls, reply to no emails. I vanish into the city like a shadow, moving alone, always alone. It is easier that way. Safer. And yet, when the skyline dims and my office falls silent at night, there are moments when I close my eyes, and a shiver runs through me, an echo of something buried long ago. It is not weakness exactly. It is a memory I have never spoken aloud. It has lived inside me for over 15 years, sealed beneath layers of discipline and willpower. And yet it remains. I swore, again and again, no one will ever touch me again. My name is Marissa Donovan, and I am 57 years old. For more than 2 decades I have guided MedCentral Technologies. From the 32nd floor of a tower that watches Manhattan breathe. The skyline in the morning looks like wet steel coming alive, windows catching sunrise, cabs stitching yellow seams through the avenues, the Hudson waking with barges and gulls and wind. I dress in black, always. My hair never touches my shoulders. I don't wear earrings, I don't wear anything that jingles or glitters, or asks for permission. My nails shine with a pale, transparent gloss because even polish should learn to be quiet. Inside my office I am spare and exacting, a single plant that refuses to die. A glass carafe of water. A long table that has hosted 100 negotiations and 1,000 silences. People have names for me. The Iron Woman, the Black Queen. They whisper them behind the cover of coffee cups and elevator doors. I never raise my voice. I never need to. An executive learns that command isn't volume, it is the shape of a pause. The weight of what isn't said. I have perfected the art of withholding, and in that art I am undefeated. There is no husband in my photos. There are no vacation postcards, no smiling children taped to glass. I grant interviews only when our stock needs them, and, even then, my words step out like soldiers, all edges and purpose. On weekends I vanish. No one knows where. A CEO is allowed her privacy, and I have turned mine into a fortress. At night, when the tower softens and the last assistant's footsteps fade, I sometimes close my eyes and hear the small fracture in my breath. It is almost nothing. A tremor of air, the thinnest admission. There is a door in me that never opens. Behind it is a winter in Chicago when I was 32. Chicago. I was a rising thing then, too earnest to be cynical. Too disciplined to be careless. I had a mentor, a senior vice president, who could open every door simply by standing in front of it. He spoke the language of capital as if he'd invented the verbs. I admired him with the naivete of a swimmer, admiring the ocean, not yet understanding undertow. We flew to Chicago for a site visit meetings, a tour of a research facility. Handshakes that pretended to be agreements. In the hotel lounge that night we had a glass of wine among men in gray suits and women holding their laughter like crystal stemware. He told me I showed promise. He said the company needed my insistence on detail. It felt like being seen. It felt like stepping into warmth after the lake wind. We rode the elevator in a late night. Hush gold mirror panels, carpet that tried to be plush and failed. Somewhere between the 12th floor and the 20th. His hand closed around my arm. At first I thought it was imbalance, a stumble. The doors slid shut with a whisper. He pulled me in. I remember the light, a hotel lamp trying to be intimate. I remember a painting of a sailboat whose white triangle meant to suggest freedom. I remember the carpet. Memory fractures here, not into blackness, but into small, shard bright details that cut when you turn them. There is a sound that shock makes, a humming in the skull that pretends to be silence. Morning came with shirt buttons and a smile he'd practiced in boardrooms. I expect great things from you, he said, and his cufflink winked like a secret. I told no one. I folded the night into a square so small it could disappear behind a rib. I convinced myself that speaking would cost me the future I had bled for. Survival sometimes looks like complicity from the outside, from the inside. It looks like breathing in a room with no doors. After Chicago, I unlearned softness. I learned stillness so complete it looked like strength. I learned a version of power that took the shape of absence. No one will ever touch me again. That vow hardened inside me until it became architecture. The accident. Years smoothed themselves into performance. Metrics and acquisitions and a calendar whose squares never showed me mercy. Then, this spring, a driver glanced at a phone for a second and slid toward my car at a red light. The impact wasn't cinematic, no spinning, no glass confetti. But pain has its own theater. The whiplash settled in my lower back like a tenant who never planned to leave. 3 days later my penthouse felt too large. The quiet made me visible to myself. At precisely 3 o'clock, the doorbell chimed. On the video screen, a woman in a white polo and navy pants. Hair pulled cleanly back, a canvas tote at her shoulder. "Good afternoon," she said. "I'm Claire Whitman, your physical therapist." I opened the door with the neutrality of a judge. "Sessions will be professional. No unnecessary conversation." She nodded. Understood. No bright smile, no eager warmth. Just presence, like a steady hand on the back of a chair. "My living room is glass and pale wood and intention." She set the tote down. "Sanitized," explained the plan today is gentle mobilization. Breath work. "We'll stop at the first sign of pain." I nodded as if pain were a thing that obeyed orders. On the first contact, her fingertips at my waist, just above the iliac crest, my body startled as if someone had shouted my name in a chapel. I went rigid. Breath vanished. My shoulders rose toward my ears as if they could become shields. She lifted her hands away immediately. She didn't apologize 3 times like people do when they want reassurance. She didn't rush to touch me again, as if correction could erase the first mistake. She met my eyes and said, "If it hurts, tell me. I'm here. I will wait." Waiting was a verb I had never seen used kindly. We continued with breath only. 10 counts in, 10 counts out. Her voice measured the air. The city moved on its rails outside. Sirens, horns, lives. Passing each other with inches to spare. When she left, the apartment felt less like a verdict. That night I dreamed of the hotel ceiling, the vent humming, the air stalled by carpet that had learned too much. But the dream refused its old ending. A hand settled between my shoulder blades. Not pressing, only anchoring, the way you steady a glass on a moving train. I woke with the pillow damp and my jaw unclenched. The window showed a blue so honest it hurt. 10 days. Claire arrived each afternoon at 3. 15 minutes became 20. Sometimes the work was no more than breath. And the softest coaxing of tissue around pain. She did not fill the air with questions. She did not harvest stories from me to place in her pockets like coins. If silence opened, she allowed it to stay open. On the 10th day she brought tea. Mint, she said. It clears the afternoon. She didn't take out her tools. We sat with the cups warming our hands and talked about nothing. The way the river looks pewter when clouds gather, a small, independent bookstore in the village that still rolls its ladder along tracks. A dog that insists on looking both ways before crossing even when the light is green. I don't remember the last time. My mouth discovered a shape that wasn't strategy and found it was a smile. Dusk softened the room. She asked, almost idly, have you ever been held without being asked for anything? I set my cup down carefully because my hands weren't entirely min.